Check one, two. Good morning. Thank you everyone for being with us today. Oh, here.
Here we go.
I was about to announce the traffic on 84.
It's cleared up.
Wow, perfect timing.
Thank you for the consideration. Yeah, I flew over it. After I got through it.
We will convene today's committee meeting. Senator McCrory, do you have any opening remarks?
Yeah, let's say this. Thank you guys for coming out. We should have a quick meeting and enjoy your opportunity to serve on this education committee. Let's go.
To my ranking members, any opening remarks?
Good morning. No, I think we've got some great items to discuss today to be raised, and let's get to it.
Thanks. Let's get going. I think some are great and some are not great. Thank you.
All right, with that, may I please have a motion to raise items 1 to 7 on the agenda? It's okay. It's moved by Senator Berthel, seconded by Representative Zupkis. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The
Aye.
ayes have it. Items 1 to 7 on the agenda are raised. May I please have a motion to raise item 8 on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Raised by Representative Biggin, seconded by Representative Welander. Is there any discussion? Representative Zupkis.
Madam Chair, would you give some information on exactly what this is, please?
This is, we're raising a concept to talk about the provision of equivalent instruction in Connecticut.
And what is the definition of equivalent instruction?
Currently, the definition of equivalent instruction is instruction that's not happening in a public school.
Okay, so this is going to be homeschooling.
This is instruction that's not happening in a public school, yes.
Okay, so my position has remained the same in all these discussions we've had. I know we'll get more in depth as this comes up for a public hearing, because I'm assuming it's going to pass. But I just would like to make note that this is not a push from myself and my colleagues. So I'm not sure where it's coming from or who it's coming from or lobbyists that it's coming from. So I'll look forward to a very long public hearing.
Any other discussion? Oh, Representative Polinsky, did you raise your hand? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to tell you a little bit about what I'm hearing, because the addition of number 8, really pretty much after business hours yesterday, caught a lot of people off guard, and I'm hearing from homeschool advocates in Newtown and actually across the state right now. And they're concerned that this is going to be another impingement on their right to choose the method of schooling that their children undergo. So if this is anything other than a very gentle curricula requirement type of bill, I have a feeling we could be looking at a full LOB with people hanging from the rafters shortly. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Dauphiné?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I have several questions, but I think I've gotten dozens of calls this morning with concern about this bill. They want to know exactly what it means. So we know while there's still concepts, somebody has some intent behind these bills. This was added at the last minute, and People are very concerned about what is the intent, what is the information, what are you looking for in this bill specifically, not just a broad concept idea. Somebody has an agenda here. Thank you.
Representative, was that a question or?
Yes, I'm looking for exactly what you're looking for in this bill. It's vague, and I have, we know that when concepts are put up, somebody has an agenda. There's some kind of an agenda behind every single concept. There's a goal. What is that goal? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish?
So I can't really speak more specifically. This is just raising the concept so that we can procedurally draft a bill and then have that more detailed conversation. I think we are interested in ensuring that every child in Connecticut who has a constitutional right to public education or equivalent, there's some accountability and oversight that they have access to that.
So I guess the individuals that have reached out to me want to know who put this in and why. What, has there been a problem? Has there been a problem with the curriculum? They're asking specific questions and they want to know why.
We can talk about that in the public hearing.
So before people can sign up and testify, I think that they need to know what they're testifying on. So they're asking, what is the goal here? What are you going to talk about? Are you going to be demanding a particular kind of curriculum? Like they're very specific questions that I think people are entitled to know if they want to sign up to testify.
100% agree. And this is just a procedural step to agree to draft all of those specific components so that folks can have those specific answers. Absolutely.
Thank you. So who put this bill in? Who were the advocates of it?
I'll say I raised this title.
So you're the one that raised the title, but you're not sure what it's going to be about?
We will have that discussion when after this procedural step is completed and that language is public. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I'll just say I'm going to be a no on this. It's hard to vote and support something that we have no idea what it's going to be about. We know that the homeschoolers have been under attack in this state. The state is full on ready to control what they do, how they do it, when they do it. And I have big concerns, and especially because we can't get any information on that. Thank you.
I'll just respond that there is no intent to attack anybody in this state whatsoever. We're not doing that. We're just having an opportunity to have a discussion on what is happening for a portion of our children in our state that currently there are no parameters around. That's all we're.
Yeah, respectfully, when people feel like their freedoms are being, I'm going to use the word attack or threatened, that's what they're calling it, an attack, an all-out attack on what their freedoms have been and what you're trying to do to change that. So thank you.
Representative Haynes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, you know, I appreciate this topic. It's obviously we actually even had a working group this past summer on this, and those discussions got a little testy too. So, I mean, this is a tough one, but I think one of the things that we have to talk about here in regards to this particular concept and the way you're particularly raising it this morning is that when you are talking about equivalent instruction, I guess that's kind of ringing bells in my head, because equivalent instruction to what? And if you can say to the public education that we have, there are many of us in this room, and I'm not just talking about the people behind this desk, but those people out there who also have concerns about the instruction that's being given in our public schools. And this is what we do every year, is we get back together to try and see if we can improve that for the students that are in the schools. And obviously the students that are not in the schools, they've determined that the education that the schools are giving are not adequate for their needs, and so they're doing homeschooling. So when you start talking about equivalent education or equivalent instruction, my question, and you know, what's the benchmark? The best schools in Connecticut, the worst schools in Connecticut, the best teacher, the worst teacher? Like, what equivalent to who and to what and to whose standard? So, you know, I asked my superintendent 3 years ago, what's our reading level at grade 3? And she said 50% of the kids can read at third grade level. I'm like, well, that's not good. What are we doing? Well, we're going to make the students accountable, et cetera, et cetera. So one of my goals this year is to go back to her and say, so how are we doing 3 years later? Have you made them accountable? But I mean, if 50% of the kids at third grade are only reading third grade level, if that's the equivalent, I don't think that's good either. So, my question is how do you come up with that equivalent instruction level? Where's the bar set and who's setting that bar?
Just for clarification, equivalent instruction is the phrase currently used in the statutes. That's why it's used here. It is the constitutional right of children to have access to a public education or equivalent. It's not a ceiling that it can't be better than what we're delivering in the public schools. And I suspect we will hear a lot about what our families who are educating in their homes are capable of doing. Absolutely. Thank you, Representative Hans. Representative Reddington Hughes?
Thank you, madam. I just wanted to know, when you're speaking of this equivalent education, are you going to be looking at the success levels of these children that are either homeschooled or going to private schools and trying to learn from them so that they can implement some of the characteristics and some of the success levels in our public schools?
All those details will come out after we agree to raise a bill.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Representative Kennedy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just following along with some of my colleagues. So if you look up the definition of equivalent, equivalent is equal in value, amount, function, meaning. This concept says an act concerning the provision of equivalent instruction in Connecticut, and just following up on that. If you look up the definition of a concept is an abstract idea, a general notion, which seems to say to me that we do know what direction we're going on this, but the way this language or the way this bill is entitled currently, it's misleading, I guess, if you will. So I have concerns about this. I know it's a concept. I recognize that. I get it. But this is just a case. I just cannot support this concept. I think we need more information. There was the start of a working group. I was not involved with that working group. I think there could have been many other people that may or may not have wanted to be involved with a working group. This is a concept that I'm just not ready to support. I'm sorry, I cannot. And I think we owe it to all of so many folks in different areas, whether they're private school, homeschoolers, or whatever the case may be. We need to hear from them. Well, I'll take that back, because we'd hear from them at a public hearing. I think it's important that they know what they would be talking about. So I'm just not ready to support this concept today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Corpus Online?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think one of my questions was answered, which is that this is not just homeschooling. This is any child in a private parochial school, everything other than a public school. Is that right?
Currently, the definition does in our statutes don't differentiate between different types of non-public schools. So if we wanted to make that distinction, we would do that through this conversation.
Are any of those other types of schooling other than homeschooling contemplated under this concept, or is this really going to be focused on the homeschooled kids?
This is just the procedural step to raise the title so that we can have all of those additional conversations in the same way that all the other concepts we've raised in this committee to date are. So those details will come as we draft the bill, and then we will have those more detailed conversations when we have language before us.
I appreciate that. And the good chairwoman is not responsible for the Connecticut General Assembly's process, but it is really hard when we're groping around in the dark, not really knowing where this is going. And I'm sure you appreciate that. My last question is, just as a general concept with the homeschooling population, is this bill going more in the direction of academic standards? Like, what does a child have to do who was homeschooled to demonstrate that they've attained a 12th grade education? Is it that direction? Or is it more we want to have eyes on children for kind of more child abuse and DCF concerns? To me, those are very different concepts. Do you have any sense at this point which direction this bill would be headed?
I'll just say we are focused on the educational components of ensuring that our kids who have the constitutional right to a public education or equivalent have access to that right, and not going into the cognizance of other committees.
Okay, so the bill will not go in the direction generally of the schools being a proxy for having eyes on a child to prevent child abuse cases where a kid is at home and not at school every day. The bill is really not going that way. Is that right? Can we say that with certainty at this point?
I'm hesitant to say anything with certainty because this is all going to be subject to the will of this body and what we hear from the public and other stakeholders. But we are focused on addressing educational components.
Thank you.
Representative Foncello?
Good morning. Thank you. I guess I'm echoing what my colleagues have been saying here. Why was this brought up in the first place? Why is there a challenge to equivalent, which sounds like equal or something close to equal, amongst the different types of schools? And then what's the baseline being used to determine what's equivalent?
Again, all of those, this is just raising a concept. All those details will be discussed and debated, I'm sure, at length once we have language before us. For the second time,
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is so vague, and you said it's going to be dependent on this panel, the people that testify with regards to where this goes and what the language would be. I would just urge every single homeschooler out there in this state to testify on this bill. We don't know what it's about, but come out and be a voice for your children and how you're educating them, because I'm trying to figure out why we're doing this in the first place. I haven't seen any cases where there's been, a reason to do this. So I'm urging everybody to come out. Thank you.
just want to reinforce that before the public hearing, there will be language. This is just the very first procedural step. Senator Berthel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, clearly there is some very genuine concern regarding the concept. I think one thing that might be helpful, and I think this relates to the question that Representative Corpus just added, could we take a moment to have LCO actually provide what is legally the definition of equivalent instruction? Because I heard you say that it's a certain group. Then the question was asked as to whether or not this includes our many fine parochial and private schools in Connecticut, and I believe your answer was that it does not. So I'm wondering through you, Madam Chair, if we could ask LCO to tell us what the definition of equivalent education is, equivalent instruction legally by statute. Is it defined? Through you.
LCO, do you mind providing that?
So while I always enjoy, anytime anybody asks me questions about drafting, I'm going to begin by saying that there's no definition, because definitions in the general statutes, word means, but in this case, the way that the general statutes are lined out, there is a requirement that a public education is provided, and then anything other than going to public school would be considered equivalent instruction.
Okay.
Deeper dive into the history of the language, it's a phrase that predates me. I've been here for 18 years. A lot of the statutes have my fingerprints on them, for better or worse, I guess. The Supreme Court described it as minimally adequate at one point, so that's fair. But that's language that predates, me, and it goes way back. So really the way that it's used is that, if I had the statute book, I could read it. Oh, here we go. Each parent or other person having control of a child 5 years of age or older and under 18 years of age shall cause such child to attend a public school regularly during the hours in terms the public school in the district in which such child resides is in session, unless such child is in high school or graduate, or the parent or person having control of such child is able to show that the child is elsewhere receiving equivalent instruction in the studies taught in public schools. A little bit, the sentence before then lays out a few subject areas in which that refers to there, but it essentially means equivalent instruction isn't a substantive term of you have to provide the same. It's equivalent. You have to you have to provide them something that's other than the public school.
Okay, Madam Chair, through you, thank you to Chris and John for that. I think that while I fully understand, and I've been here long enough to understand the process of raising a concept, I think that it clearly should provide some understanding that the concept may include not just homeschoolers, but also our private and parochial schools. And if we're believing what we were just told and what was read from the statutes, that would clearly indicate that it's any education that is occurring outside of our established public school system is what we're looking at. And I think that's an important item to put a pin in today, because obviously we will all wait with great anticipation for the draft of this bill. I do fully expect that we will have a very robust and lengthy public hearing, maybe the biggest one we see in this cycle for parents of children in any of those education environments that are outside of our public schools. Okay, and I think that it is going to be our responsibility, should this move forward, which it probably will. That seems to be the way things have to work right now, whatever. But should it move forward, I think that the committee has to be very deliberate in making sure that we are, whatever comes out of this, that we are not causing more harm than good at the end of the day. When I look at homeschooling families, and I have many of them in my district, I see people who are making a decision to educate their child outside of our public schools for perhaps it's faith-based, perhaps it's ideological, perhaps it's whatever it is that they want to do because the law allows them to do it. And I think that part of what we're seeing here, and Madam Chair, just so you know, this is not in any way directed specifically at you. I think you know that you and I have gotten to know each other a lot better over time. But I think that I know that we very sadly had a couple of situations in the course of the last year where there was a presumption of one of the victims of some horrible, evil acts perpetrated on a child, where homeschooling was blamed for the death of that child, and in fact, that child was not even in a homeschool environment legally at the time of their death. So I want to make sure that we're deliberate as a committee. And after 12 years on this committee, or almost 12 years, I think that we've been very careful over time, generally speaking, to make sure that we were not overreaching our authority, and making sure that the legislation that we're proposing here is in the best interest of all of the people that we represent. And that includes not only what we believe is perhaps our responsibility to further protect children that are not in our public schools, but also to ensure that we are not eroding the freedoms that are provided not only through the Constitution of our great state and our great nation, but also through the statutes. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think Senator Summers had her hand up online.
Yes, I did. Well, I just, I came in a little bit late. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing between meetings. And I know it's the same subject that you all are talking about, this subject of equivalent education. So, one of my questions has been answered. This does apply to other private schools, et cetera, outside of the public schools. So if this concept is raised, it should be an alarm bell for anyone who's sending their child to school outside of the Connecticut public school system to show up and testify, because we're not sure what's going to be in the bill. The one thing that I'm a little troubled with is normally when you raise a concept, especially in a short session, you're not raising a concept to sort of just throw whatever against the wall, because we have such a compressed period of time that there must be a focus. And I think I heard the good chair say that the focus was on education part of the equivalency, not like as Representative Corpus had mentioned, not like a DCF component. So if we know that it's about the educational component of equivalent education, can you be more specific as far as what exactly we're looking at? Because you must have an idea to raise the concept. So if you could be more specific, I think that would be helpful. And it may either give people pause that are listening, or it may give people encouragement that are listening. So if the good chair could give us any more detail, I think that would be really helpful.
Thank you, Senator. I don't have any additional detail to share right now. I'm not trying to be opaque. As you heard, the definition is very vague in our statutes, and I think that's a part of what we're trying to discuss. We don't actually have any other statutes around this type of equivalent instruction, so we're looking to have the conversation around that. Before we have a public hearing, there will be language, so people will have more clarity before a public hearing on what's being discussed. But today, it's just the legislative procedure of raising the concept so we can get to bill drafting.
Okay, well, I appreciate that answer. I wish it was a little bit more specific because there must be a specific reason why this is being raised. So I am not going to be supporting that today, and I urge anyone who's listening, whether you're a homeschool parent or a parochial school parent or just a private school parent, to make sure that your voices are heard at this public hearing, to make sure that you submit written testimony, because depending on what the language is, this education committee could be either, sort of limiting your options, or they could be requiring you to do additional things that you don't have to do at this point in time. So it's very important that we all stay on board and stay close in monitoring the language. So I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for the first time? Anyone online? All right. Senator Berthel for the second time?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I would just ask that we do a roll call vote on this. Thank you.
Representative Belinsky for the second time?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's very important that we, as a governmental body, understand that one size never fits all. Yet the furor that's being caused right now by this vague concept and the fear that we're hearing from our constituents and from amongst my colleagues here as well, about this possibly being a very heavy-handed bill that, but we can't actually speak to that, or we can't answer it because it is just a concept. But I'm reminded by constituents, and was last night by telephone several times, that we have tried the one-size-fits-all concept on many occasions, in the legislature, and this committee included, and didn't turn back until there was a massive pushback by the public by way of public hearing and showing up. They are uncomfortable with us because we have imposed top-down mandates from this very committee that have been contrary to to people that prefer educational choice. As a committee, there's no consensus over using charters and magnets to provide additional choice either. So I don't know if that falls within the scope of any of this, because they're not technically in the public education realm, although the magnets are. But the point is, the public deserves the opportunity to know what it is that we're thinking about doing, and all that would accomplish, in my humblest of opinions, is that we would prevent having them not trust what we're going to do next. So I'm going to be a no, because while I vote for almost every single concept that comes before me, this one does have history, and the history is spooking thousands, tens of thousands of families in the state of Connecticut right now. So it's going to pass, ladies and gentlemen, everybody. We know it's going to pass. Stay tuned, and thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Representative DeFranco?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank the chairs for raising this concept. you know, many of you know, we had an unspeakable tragedy in New Britain in the fall. And we lost a little child. And that child was not being cared for, and she was not being loved, and she was not being educated. And in the wake of that tragedy, all reasonable people said, we need to look at every aspect of our system. We need to look at our child welfare system. We need to look at our public service system, and we need to look at our education system. This is part of that process. This is a concept at this point. We're going to get many more details in the days and weeks to come. There are not going to be any surprises prior to the public hearing. People are going to know in detail what's in the bill, and they're going to know what, if any, requirements are going to be asked of them. So this is not going to be a surprise to anyone. And I would just ask people to think about their thoughts and their comments after that tragedy back in October, and after what they said we needed to do to prevent that kind of thing from happening again. And so to the chairs, I know this is a difficult issue, but thank you very much for your commitment to this.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Reddington Hughes for the second time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just needed to add that, you know, we as a legislature really have to be careful that we are not trying and convicting people without a trial. Because these cases that we're referencing, okay, are things that have not gone through the court system, and we do not know the details of them. So it is absolutely irresponsible on our part to be crafting laws, okay, in response to things that we do not know the details of. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Representative McGee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to share for the record that I do think that there's a difference between crafting law and in response of fear and versus crafting law to really prepare and make sure that we're putting things on the books for the safety of students. As a teacher who spends a lot of time around children, I think obviously safety is a priority. And so one of the things that's so important in this legislative process is that we have a public hearing, that we hear from people, that we hear and meet the needs of every community that we represent. And to Rep. DeFranzo's point, we want to not only make sure that these things are not happening, but that we're prepared in response so that, God forbid, they do happen. We have something that is solidified on the books that ensures that this will not happen to any child in the state of Connecticut who deserves a constitutional right to great education. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Zepkis for the second time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I completely agree with my two colleagues that just talked about the safety of our children. It is evil on what happened to the Mimi case and to S in Waterbury, which is actually a year ago today. It is evil. And for somebody, I can't even imagine how somebody could ever do that to their child. Personally, I don't think any law passed would change those two animals. And if it was, everybody in this building would be behind it. So if we're going to talk about safety, which I think we should, of children, it should be all safety of children in every school, public, private, homeschooling, anything, because our children are our greatest gift, our leaders of tomorrow, and our responsibility to ensure their safety. We all just saw, and if you haven't, over the last couple of weeks, teachers who molested kids in public schools. So we need to look at that, and I think we are, which I'm grateful for. But if we're going to talk safety, we need to talk about safety for every child, not just one group of children. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. And with that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
A motion has been made and seconded to raise agenda item 8. Senator McCrory,
Yes.
Representative Leeper,
Yes.
Senator Berthel,
No.
Representative Zepkis,
No.
Senator Winfield, Representative Brown,
Yes.
Representative Anderson,
No.
Representative Arceno,
Yes.
Representative Biggins,
Yes.
Representative Bolinsky,
No.
Representative Candelaria, Representative Carney,
Carney votes no.
Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Constantine,
Yes.
Representative Corpus,
Corpus votes no.
Representative Dauphiné,
Rep. Dauphiné is an absolute no.
Representative DeFranco,
Yes.
Senator Fazio, Representative Felipe, Senator Flexer, Representative Foncelo,
No.
Senator Gatkar Wilcox,
Senator Gatkar Wilcox is yes.
Representative Jenga,
Representative Jenga, yes.
Representative Gibson, Representative Gucker,
Yes.
Representative Haynes,
Rep. Haynes is a no.
Representative Howard,
No.
Representative Johnson,
Representative Johnson is a yes.
Representative Kennedy,
Kennedy votes no.
Representative Khan, Senator Kushner, Representative McGee,
Rep. McGee is yes.
Representative Menapace,
Yes.
Senator Miller, Representative Parker, Representative Pemberton,
Yes.
Representative Poulos,
Rep. Poulos votes yes.
Representative Rader,
Representative Rader votes yes.
Representative Reddington Hughes,
Reddington Hughes votes no.
Representative Roberts,
Representative Roberts votes yes.
Representative Romano,
Romano is a no.
Representative Sanchez, Representative Smith,
Smith votes yes.
Senator Summers,
Summers votes no.
Representative Stewart,
Representative Stewart votes no.
Representative Wielander.
Representative Wielander votes yes.
Thank you.
Senator Miller votes yes.
Thank you, Senator Miller.
Representative Candelaria votes yes.
Thank you, Representative Candelaria.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we will hold votes open until 1 o'clock today. That concludes our business for today. After 1 o'clock, the votes will be closed and the meeting will be adjourned. And we are now in recess. Our next meeting will be a public hearing on Friday. Thanks, everyone.
Representative Gibson, Representative Johnson,
Did I miss a vote? I'm sorry. I can't hear you now. Can you hear me? We've been
Yes.
shut off.
Yeah,
Hello?
we hear you. We hear you, Rep. Johnson. I think she's having trouble on her end talking.
Okay, did I miss a vote?
I was wondering the same because I jumped on a few minutes late.
Yeah, me too.
Was a voice vote for 1 through 7 is the question.
Yeah, I guess that's what I would have asked as well.
I'm sorry, my computer audio is not working. There
Oh.
was a voice vote for 1 to 7, so Representative Johnson, you're all set. Rep. Comey, you're also all set.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank
Have a
you so
great day.
much.
Thanks,
Have a
Yeah,
great
no
day.
problem.
Jazz, am I all set?
Senator, Decor Wilcox, you're good as well, and
Oh, great.
Rep. Poulos, you're good as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good day, guys.
You too.
And then Rep. Gibson, are you there, sir? Thank you.
Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Senator Kushner, how are you? You're muted.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I know you just need one vote for me, right?
Yes, we voted on agenda item 8 and that concerning, sorry, I don't have the agenda in front of me for some reason.
No, I have the agenda. It's fine. Senator Kushner votes yes.
Okay. And
Right.
that was the only roll call vote. You should be all set.
All right, thanks so much. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, now.
Hi, Jazz.
You need to push your chair in, please.
Hi, Rep Gibson. This is an assistant clerk supporting Jazz. She might just be in transit to her desk. I'm not sure if I can take your vote, so do you have a minute to hang on?
I'll try. I may not have a minute. I'm in between. I'm at work.
Okay. Are you aware of what you're voting on? There was a vote, a voice vote for 1 through 7 that was already completed, but this is on concept 8, AAC, the provision of equivalent instruction in Connecticut.
Yes.
Okay, so your vote is yes. Like I said, I'm not certain I can take your vote, but I will pass that to Jazz and we'll reach you.
You need to
if
answer
needed.
questions.
Okay, because votes close at 1, right?
Correct.
All right. And just ask her to text me if you cannot take my vote.
Okay, will do. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Rep. Gibson, are you still there? Okay, let me join on my phone. Okay. Hi, Rep. Gibson. Rep. Gibson? Zoom.
Good afternoon.
Chess, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. We only voted well, we had a roll call vote on only one item on the agenda. It was an act concerning the provision of equivalent instruction in Connecticut. How would you like to vote?
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Okay, and you're all set, and congrats on your baby. I heard.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
awesome.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye.
Hello, Senator Flexa, how are you today? Senator Flexa, you're muted. Yeah, okay, I'll wait. Sorry. Collector.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good.
So we just had a roll call vote on agenda item 8, and that concerning the provision of equivalent instruction in Connecticut. Would you like to vote?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. And with that, you're all set. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi there.
Hi, Senator Fazio. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So we only had one roll call vote on agenda item 8, and that concerning the provision of equivalent instruction in Connecticut. How would you like to vote?
I vote no.
Okay. Yep, everything else was a voice vote. You're
Great.
all set. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.